London, 1660s, 500,000 people, built entirely of wood. Let's step back in time.
London in the 1660s was a bustling metropolis of nearly 500,000 people, built almost entirely of timber and thatch. In this video, I use cutting-edge AI technology to bring historic paintings and engravings to life, transforming static images into moving scenes, allowing us to explore this lost world as if we were there. From the crowded shops of Old London Bridge to the devastating flames of the Great Fire, join me as we step back in time to experience London at a pivotal moment in its history. I'm William, and this is London in the 1660s. Old London Bridge stood as one of the city's most remarkable structures. By the 1660s, it was far more than just a river crossing. It was a densely packed neighbourhood suspended above the Thames, linking the City of London to Southwark on the opposite bank. The bridge was lined completely with buildings. Houses, shops, warehouses, and chapels crowded every available space, rising several stories high and often projecting outward over the roadway. From a distance, it appeared less like a bridge and more like a continuous street spanning the water. Beneath these buildings, the bridge rested on a series of narrow stone arches supported by massive piers. These structures severely restricted the tidal flow of the Thames, creating powerful and dangerous currents that made navigation treacherous for boats attempting to pass through. Much of what we know about daily life in 1660s London comes from the meticulous diary of Samuel Pepys, a naval administrator who recorded everything he witnessed. His detailed observations captured the sights, sounds, and even the smells of the city, from the bustle of street markets to the stench of open sewers, from grand ceremonial processions to intimate domestic moments. The Thames itself functioned as London's primary highway. Barges, ferries, merchant vessels, and smaller river craft crowded the water daily, transporting grain, timber, coal, cloth, and imported goods from around the world. The river connected London to England's interior, to continental Europe, and to the wider Atlantic trade network. The bridge stood at the intersection where local London life met global commerce, making it one of the busiest and most vital points in the entire city. During severe winters, the restricted flow beneath the bridge's arches could cause the Thames to freeze solid. In these rare periods, Londoners would walk and gather on the ice below the bridge, transforming the dangerous river into a temporary festival ground. The northern entrance to Old London Bridge was approached through the area beside St. Magnus, the martyr church. This gateway marked the transition from the crowded streets of the city into the unique world of the bridge itself. Away from the city centre stood Buckingham House, a private townhouse on London's western edge. Built in the late 17th century, it was surrounded by open land and gardens, marking the clear boundary between urban London and the countryside beyond. On September 2nd, 1666, disaster struck. What began as a small fire in a bakery on Pudding Lane quickly spread through the timber-built city. Within hours, the flames had become an unstoppable inferno, racing through London's narrow medieval streets. Samuel Pepys himself would write of being woken in the early hours, initially dismissing the fire as unremarkable, before realizing the true scale of the catastrophe unfolding. This view shows Ludgate engulfed in flames, with old St. Paul's Cathedral visible in the distance. The cathedral's massive square tower, which had dominated London's skyline for centuries, now stood threatened by the approaching wall of fire. As the inferno spread, panic seized the city. Thousands of Londoners fled toward the Thames, their only escape from the advancing flames. The river, usually a highway for trade and commerce, became a desperate refuge as families crowded into boats and small craft. choking the water with vessels laden with whatever possessions they could salvage. The air filled with smoke and falling ash, while the heat became so intense that those on the water could feel it scorching their faces. By the evening of September 4th, much of central London had become a continuous wall of flame. Looking across the Thames from Tower Wharf, the entire city appeared to be burning, with smoke darkening the sky for miles. Old London Bridge can be seen to the left, while the Tower of London narrowly escaped destruction on the right. St. Paul's Cathedral burns at the centre of the scene, its ancient structure finally succumbing to the relentless flames. Pepys would later describe watching the cathedral's lead roof melting and running down the streets like rivers of molten metal. In just 4 days, the Great Fire consumed over 13,000 houses and 87 churches. Medieval London, which had stood for centuries, was reduced to ash and ruins, forcing the city to rebuild and begin again. The Tower of London survived the fire and continued to serve as a fortress, arsenal, treasury, and prison. High-profile prisoners accused of treason were held within its walls, while the crown jewels and royal records remained secured in its vaults. Before the fire, Cheapside had been one of London's most important ceremonial streets. This scene from 1638 shows a royal procession, with the Cheapside Cross standing prominently at the centre, as soldiers, officials, and crowds fill the street. The Palace of Westminster and Westminster Abbey formed the spiritual and political heart of England. Parliament met here, kings were crowned in the Abbey, and the Great Westminster Hall served as a court of law and site of state trials. Along the Thames stood the Palace of Whitehall, the largest royal residence in England and the primary home of the Stuart monarchs. From these riverside steps, kings and courtiers arrived by boat, emphasizing the Thames as London's main route of travel and power. Standing here now, looking back at these reconstructed scenes, it becomes clear how close the past truly is. These streets, these buildings, and these events shape the world we inhabit today. Through AI reconstruction and the detailed accounts of witnesses like Samuel Pepys, we get a glimpse of what it was like to live, work, and walk through London at one of the most pivotal moments in its long history.